Today, it's your birthday. Yesterday was too, and tomorrow is too. Not sure what that means? Let us introduce you to a powerful concept into our community. We are thrilled that you have joined.
Who are we? We are Helene and Christina, and our mission is to empower, teach, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Combined, we have over 35 years' experience as therapists in private practice. It was in the office, as well as in our personal lives, that we were hearing week after week of women struggling and not feeling seen or alive during their messy middle life stage. If you're curious how we define this life stage, or if you're experiencing too, go back to episode 2. We gotcha.
We come to you today not as your therapist, but rather two women in this life stage with you. We're here to be your friends. Our podcast promises to talk about the hard or uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way as part of healing, and find joy in life. We strive to find the meaning of the messy middle or the unknown. What sets us apart? We leave you with gifts each and every episode. These may come in the form of actionable tools or strategies, invitations to be exactly where you are right now, and sometimes mic drop thought-provoking ideas.
Now that we're friends, let's make this official. We would love to help start your Thursday mornings, so make sure to follow the show wherever you listen and sign up for our free newsletter at yourbirthdaypodcast.com. Ready for some gifts to start living your life how you want? Take our free quiz on our website, and gifts will show up in your inbox immediately.
At the end of season 1, we promise to bring more to the It's Your Birthday community. Friends, grab your favorite beverage, get cozy, turn up the volume if you are needing to hear a conversation or interview that will inspire and warm your heart. Helene and I literally wanted to jump on a plane after we got to chat with Erin a couple months ago. She is one of those who sprinkles life with wisdom, offers transformative moments, and a big heart. Picture the three of us sitting with you at a coffee shop on those comfy couches. We are delighted Erin, a fellow podcaster, a registered nurse, and wealth of information on juggling all of the things, is willing to come on our show and be with us. Her podcast, Medium Lady, is all about figuring out medium effort way to get the most out of life. She wants women to experiment with ways of being in life so that we can get all closer to what matters the most, ourselves.
Hi, Erin. All of what Christina said was so incredibly true. We felt incredibly inspired from our Zoom meetup weeks back. We giggled on the phone after we hung up with you and literally, like Christina said, wanted to book tickets and come see you. But we decided to hold back on that. I'm so serious. And I don't like flying as I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. But in that moment, we were like, do you just want to go meet her and squeeze her? And we were like, yes. So this is the next best thing. But I promise we may one day jump on that plane and come to Canada. So before we get to all the things that we want to ask you and the wisdom that you have, share with us a little bit about you, a little bit about where you live, your work, your life, anything you want our audience to know about you. We would love to hear.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the feeling is mutual. Like I'm happy to meet up for in real life hugs anytime. I will let you know I am very short. That's maybe the first thing you can learn about me. I'm pretty short, and I've been told a lot when I make friends online. They're like, I didn't realize you were so short. And my tagline is I give off tall energy. So we'll be giving off a bit of tall energy during the episode today.
Love it. Love it.
I love it. I love it. So I have to ask, how tall are you?
I'm 5 foot even.
You're taller than me.
Oh, that's great.
I'm
Yes.
4'11", so I
Short
will make
sisters
you.
unite.
Yes. So I can't wait to hug you
Oh,
because we'll be close in
we're the
height.
perfect size,
And Helene's not
even more of a
super
fit.
tall.
Nope, I'm about 5'2 1/4".
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. This is
So
great. Well,
strength in short women. I love it.
Is. I always say, like, good things come in small packages.
indeed. Exactly.
And when people ask me how tall I am, I'm like, in personality, 6 feet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That is
So,
awesome.
other than that, I guess, other than my height, I could give you some more demographics. I'm 41 years old. I'm a woman. I have a partner, Nick. We live in Ontario, Canada. We have 3 boys. They are 5, 9, and 11. I have a dog. His name is Hulk. And so I'm kind of outnumbered when it comes to the masculine energy in my home, but that's okay because I really compensate for that and I more than make up for it. I am a nurse by background and I currently work as a director of nursing practice in a big children's hospital here in Ontario. And I love that I get to, in my 9 to 5, do what I think is really kind of like at the heart of who I am, which is supporting people, uplifting people, cheerleading them to do their best, setting high standards, and then celebrating when we achieve them, especially in the name of like high quality care for patients. But I did, and and you can probably hear like I'm really, really proud of my work. I'm really, really proud of what I do and the people that I work with. And there was a time in my life when a lot of my identity was very much consumed by that work. And that actually got me into a bit of trouble about 5 years ago when I had my third maternity leave with my son Beckett, who's 5 now. And during that maternity leave, I struggled with intense depression
Mm.
related to postpartum. So my hormones were all out of whack, but also a lot of like identity loss because I was off of work here in Canada, we have the longer, about a year maternity leave. So I really didn't expect to, but I experienced this real like identity shift. And when I thought about it deeply, you know, my identity was very much tied up in the relationships that I held with other people. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a boss, I'm a nurse, all of these things that we really tie our identities to. But if I wanted to take a step back from that, or if I wanted to identify who I am without those relationships and roles, I felt really bereft of any way to adequately know myself without
Mm.
other people being part of the mix. And that's kind of where Medium Lady was born. My son William, he jokes that he has licensing rights on Medium Lady because when he was 6, he said to me, "Hey, Mom, you're a medium lady." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, you're not a young lady, but you're not an old lady, so you're a medium lady." And he was 6 at the time. And I knew it was like he had seen a part of me that I hadn't been able to see myself. And so I think I grabbed like a newspaper and a marker, a kid's marker, and I wrote down Medium Lady because I just knew in myself that there was something in me that was being called to share more, with build an audience, build a community, start a podcast. I didn't know how to do those things. And then when I got this moniker of Medium Lady, I really felt like it was the last piece of the puzzle that I needed to start putting myself out there. And so here we are 5 years later. So Medium Lady is a thriving community of women who believe in medium effort and mindfulness as a real cornerstone of feeling grounded in the life that you already have, not necessarily striving to improve all the time, not necessarily striving to reach for what's better and ideal based on a comparison with where you're not or what you're not. And then now we have a podcast, Medium Lady Talks, where I hop on mic and I talk about all things. Usually the lab is my own life, and I bring things from my lab and to the Medium Lady community, and I share that on weekly episodes. And then a huge part of my identity is I'm a reader. So I read about 150 books a year, and sharing that side of my identity through a second podcast, which I co-host with Jillian O'Keefe, which releases bi-weekly. It's called Medium Lady Reads. So that spin-off podcast is also like another huge part of my identity, talking about books, sharing about books. I really believe in reading as self-care. And so yeah, that's kind of who I am and what I'm all about.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So after our
We are
chat,
jumping on the plane.
yeah. So after our chat, I like totally absorbed that and I really needed it. I didn't realize how much I really
Mm,
needed it.
mhm,
Maybe running 3 corps and co-running another one
mhm,
reminded me like Holy Toledo, Christina. But I've totally implemented the medium lady philosophy through the holidays and it just stood out to me. And so I did medium effort for Christmas and Hanukkah. And I have to tell you, like, it was the most enjoyable holidays. Like,
mm,
literally a week and a half before Christmas, I took a day with my family and went skiing, something I would have never done. I would have locked myself in a room wrapping presents ad nauseum
mhm.
with my coffee, and we went skiing for the day, which was incredible. And so, and you know what? My kids would say they loved the holiday and they would never
Mm-hmm.
complain about it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they would because they are very loud and vocal if they had a problem with it, but they loved it. And I think they loved it because I was able to be present instead of doing all the things.
I'm going to reflect something back to you, which is that they loved it. And, we think that they loved it because they didn't mind that there was less. They didn't mind that it was medium. But actually, what I will tell you is that it's that they love it every year, regardless of how you show up.
Right.
And what you created was a space for you to notice that they loved it. So that's the one thing that I, really notice in people is they're like, I did less and people didn't mind. And I thought, no, people already love you for whatever you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
What you created was actually a space for you to feel the love, to experience the
100%.
love. Yeah, that's so great. You deserve that.
It was fun I'd had in years.
Oh my gosh. Can't
And
wait for
I would
next
say,
year.
I wish I had met Medium Lady years ago. So going back like
Mm,
7 years ago, I was doing all the things, not that
yeah.
anyone told me or that I had to, but it was my
hmm
own internal noise. I
hmm
remember I was running around, and my son at the time, who was 13, said to me, I'm so glad I'll never be a mom because you never sit down.
Wow.
So
Mm.
the younger version of me truly needed Medium Lady. And while I didn't meet her then, and for those of you listening to us, if you need her, grab her now because the future version of you
Yeah.
hmm
is going to be so grateful because now I can also join on the bandwagon with Christina and also take that gift from my son that I
hmm
don't want to show frantic. I want to show connection and presence.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. I mean,
That's wonderful.
just the other night, my daughter and I were driving home from dance, which is like ends at 8:45 at night.
Mm.
And she's like, Mom, is it so stressful that you have to pick me up? And I said, No, it means quality time in the car with you where we can chat and nobody's interrupting us. And if we don't feel like chatting and we just want to listen to music, we can,
Mm.
like it is time that I wouldn't get from you otherwise.
hmm
And so I said, if you think that, I'm going to be totally engaged and not tired, that's another thing. And she's like, No, Mom. She's like, We're both tired. She's like,
hmm
But it's just nice to be tired and calm together.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
to me that
You
medium
guys are
effort.
raising really smart kids. Great job.
We have awesome kiddos, but it sounds like you
Yeah.
have awesome kiddos too. I love that. Like, Mom, you're a medium lady. Like, that is so wise and so kind, right?
hmm
Like, yeah. The
Yeah.
last thing I need is somebody pointing out all my wrinkles. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So Christina
So,
and I truly wake up. I would say, and Christina, jump in if you don't agree. Like we try to wake up and do like the self check-ins because I think both of us have had perfectionistic tendencies.
hmm
We practice not to fall into it, although there's a lot of muscle memory, at least I would say for myself.
hmm
So it's almost reminding myself like to put on that oxygen mask so
hmm
that I don't give away my life, so
hmm
that I also don't invite like possible resentment and frustration. So I'm more in my life. So I'm hoping you could share with our audience more about the concept of medium lady or
hmm
doing medium effort
hmm
and what you see has been the benefit, the smile from people. Like, I think we just all need to really embrace that concept.
and I'm going to add too, like, when people hear that, what is their struggle with accepting that? Like,
Oh
all of the
yeah,
above.
great question because that happens. And I also have to check myself too because when you plug into something and you've probably found this with It's Your Birthday, when you plug into something that makes sense and you know it can make sense to other people, you can kind of like run ahead the race a little bit and be like,
Yeah.
it's this way, everybody, it's this way, especially if you have a specific kind of personality. Like I'm definitely like your bossy big sister. I'm like, hey, come on down here, everybody. And some people are like, I can't see the way. And I'm like, no, literally like over here. So that's a good reminder too that there are people who hear medium effort. And I can share a bit of a story about how I actually got a little tangled up in that as well. So I'll share a little bit more about Medium Lady. So Medium Lady really has two pillars of I guess, content or life philosophy, the first of which is medium effort. So, medium effort is exactly what it sounds like. It's not high effort and it's not low effort. And I know a lot of us out there, we're really working really hard. There's a lot of things to do, there's a lot of things to think about. The future is unknown. The past, maybe we have feelings about the past. And so we're carrying around all of that all the time. High effort, generally for me, is things like perfectionism. You know, we're leaning into curating something where we feel like we're in control. We want to maintain all of the external details. We want to make sure that everything looks the way it makes us feel good. We want to make sure everybody's going to, see the efforts of our work. We're going to make sure that we're showing up for everybody the way that we can all the time. And it's really about like perfectionism and the sense of safety and control that one might feel from knowing that things are perfect. I can feel like things are okay as long as everything is right according to my to-do list, according to my schedule. I've optimized my time. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to do the thing, and I'm going to bed late because I'm catching up on the other thing. And that's really kind of high effort. And then there's low effort. And I don't think there's a lot of people who would maybe identify with low effort because we have such an intrinsic societal belief in productivity and culture and this sort of puritanical myth that what you bring to society, your value is in your effort and in your work. So I don't often hear about a lot of people identifying with low effort, but for me, how I identify low effort is in the people pleasing. So we don't put ourselves first. We don't take up space. We make sure we're paying attention to other people. We anticipate the needs of others. And we say yes to everything because we believe that our value comes in how we serve in those relationships, in how we show
Mm.
up, in what we give. And if we give until our cup is empty, then that's a sign that we have worth and value because we've given everything that we could possibly give. That to me is low effort. Saying yes all the time, allowing other people's needs to crowd out your own needs. It's very easy. It's very easy. And again, that also comes from societal norms and beliefs about the roles of women, the ways that women facilitate success or enjoyment or pleasure or happiness or comfort or safety for others, not for themselves. And prioritizing that role as a role that brings value above things like saying no, setting boundaries, creating time and space for yourself, spending resources on yourself, all of those things that actually for some people feels like high effort. We hear people struggle with boundary setting. That's
Mm.
because they're moving from a low effort place to maybe a medium effort place. And regardless of where you might find yourself on the continuum, that continuum can also change. For some people, the holidays might feel medium effort. They're like, no, I've got it down pat. I just let the traditions carry me through. I'm not really too worried about it. We have really well established gift giving traditions and nothing. And my in-laws are super chill. And, I'm not like too worried about these things. But when it comes to, something like their kids' grades or the, performance at work, they're actually really, really high effort. Or
Mm.
maybe when it comes to a specific friendship, they're actually showing up in a low effort way because their friend really consumes a lot of resources and time and energy and is maybe not, it's maybe like too transactional of a relationship, but that feels hard to change. So that's kind of the medium effort like way of thinking about things. The other thing that I emphasize a lot, and the only way that medium effort works, is with the second pillar of content that I talk about or philosophy, which is mindful fun, which is like you have to sit in the moment and proactively enjoy yourself. You cannot dial back. You cannot find your medium effort path if you're not also not taking yourself too seriously,
Mhm.
finding the joy, tapping into gratitude, feeling your body in the earth. These mindfulness habits are really essential to either doing less, if doing less appeals to you, or setting boundaries and reclaiming yourself if that's what appeals to you.
Mhm.
Those two things are fueled by mindful fun. So that's the other thing that I try to instill a lot. I think that because I'm called medium lady, the medium effort is sort of the first part that comes. But mindful fun honestly is like it's such a low-hanging fruit and like I've gotten myself to a place where I think I can tap into mindful fun almost all the time. And that's
Wow.
really what I hope for most people. Because I think you can get to medium effort so much faster if you're tapping into the lighthearted, whimsical side of your personality more often.
Yeah.
So when you say you can see yourself now doing that almost every day, if you were
Hmm.
watching yourself,
Hmm.
what do you see the differences in you? And if you had to
Hmm.
guess, what do you think your family sees
Yeah.
different in
Hmm.
you?
Good
Mm.
question.
Okay, what do I see different in me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first few things are the first thing that came to my mind is makeup. And this is where I think mindful fun people don't pivot to it again because it's about like it's about girlhood, it's about pleasure, it's about it's about, it might be about something that you might have typically seen as stereotypical. It might be about gender norms. And I see a lot of people kind of shying away from some of that stuff. So for me, the first thing that I think about is makeup. So I really love makeup. I have a makeup collection, and it's something I used to hide from my family. It's something I used to hide from my colleagues and coworkers. It's something I used to hide from my friends. But now, makeup is a real tool that I use to tap into mindful fun. I love color, I love texture, I love, beauty. I love the sense of like art supplies and tools. I have brushes, I have little pots of things. Some of them smell good, some of them look good, some of them are sparkly. Um, some of them make me feel a certain way about myself. They change the way that I tap into my identity. So that's an example of how I see myself behaving differently since embracing mindful fun.
Oh
The
my
way that I
gosh.
think, yeah, go ahead.
No, I love that. And all I can
Yeah,
think of is when I hop on that flight, I can 100% promise that my daughter is going to be in my suitcase
yeah,
because she's desperate to learn all things makeup. And as you can tell, like makeup isn't my jam. And so I
that's
love this. And
okay.
I love how you just own it and you're thrilled with it.
Hmm.
And it's so who you are. Like my heart just got so warm.
And sometimes, and actually, even my colleagues, like I've shared with my colleagues, oh, I really like makeup, oh, whatever. And I'll have some colleagues come to me and be like, I need something for something. I need a sparkly eyeshadow. Can you, what eyeshadow are you? And they'll come to me
Yes.
in this sort of like covert, trustworthy kind of way. And, I'm really proud of my job. I like to think I'm pretty smart. I'm a very ambitious person. And there was a part of me that still has to kind of reconcile the gut clench when people say, like, oh, Erin's the makeup person.
Mm,
Because there's still that negative connotation
right.
with makeup being less serious, less of a noble pursuit. Like if I want to compare it to like a masculine trait, it would be like the guy who has a garage full of tools and drawers with little screws, and he's got a flashlight for every nook and cranny that you need, and it's all there in the garage, and he's got little pots and collections of this and that, and a varnish over here and a brush for that. And we would never say that that's like frivolous or
No, we'd be
superficial,
impressed.
Wasted
right?
money.
Right,
We'd
a
be
waste
so
of
impressed with
money,
his organization
right?
and how he always has something when we need
He
it.
always has something that he needs.
Yeah.
And so, I have to kind of also recognize that there's still, even with medium effort and mindful fun, there's still a lot of conditioning. These tools help me shortcut those feelings. They help me
Mm.
get beyond the gut clench and say,
Mm.
why am I feeling like I don't want my colleagues to know I like makeup? You know,
Mm.
why does that embarrass me? And I can get there a little bit faster and get over those feelings and embrace that side of myself, that identity
Mm.
piece. Again, it's like, if I had to ask people, describe me without talking about my relationships, they would say, oh, Erin, she likes reading and she likes makeup. And
Mm.
that's something that 5 years ago, I think I really was hiding from people.
So it sounds like 5 years ago, you were maybe in like what Christine and I talk about. Like, we know where we were before. Then we're in this space. Like, for us, messy middle is like,
Hmm.
well, I really don't want to be where I was. It's not aligning with kind of the spark or this energy or this fun space. So it's like a wrestling within. It's like a cocooning in a way. And now
Hmm.
you freely go to the other side. Like, you left the messy middle and you're embracing those two really powerful pillars of like who you are as a person, and you're letting it be seen. with the
Hmm.
feminine part, like in your home with a lot of testosterone.
Yeah.
And people at work are now coming to you and you're embracing, sharing, and giving it visibility.
Hmm.
I love
Hmm.
that.
I
I love
love
that.
that.
And I keep going back to our episode that we just did on and the power of the word and.
Hmm.
I love this because you can be smart, intelligent, phenomenal at your job, a leader, and you can love makeup.
Yeah.
You can be both. You don't have to
Yeah.
be one or another, right?
Hmm.
It doesn't mean just because you like makeup that you're uneducated. You are very well educated. You're very smart, very capable, and this is something you're passionate about.
The thing about Medium Lady that continues to surprise me, although it shouldn't, because it was really about intention, like it was my intention to show people, using again my life as my lab, to show people that like you can try some stuff and nothing is going to go wrong.
Right.
And I continue to be surprised by the people who come to me and say, "Oh, I saw you doing this and it gave me the confidence, permission, a pathway, uh,
Mm-hmm.
a template for doing that in my own life." Even the people who come up to me and they're like, "I really like makeup too." And I'm like, "Okay, great. That's cool." And it's like opportunities to own the sides of yourself that maybe you felt like needed to be private or needed to be less bright than the other
Mm-hmm.
parts of yourself because maybe they don't feel as productive, they don't feel as worthy. And so we're all guilty of doing that, of like
Mm-hmm.
dialing up the ways that we have had accomplishments or contributions, or we're helping others, or we're serving others, or we're making a difference. We're all guilty of feeling like that piece of the pie needs to be the biggest.
Right.
And then the little things that are maybe not productive or silly or superficial, those get to take up smaller pieces of the pie. And I guess maybe what I'm suggesting is that, like, you have to really consider that the size of the pie can change. And it's probably actually, you have a much bigger pie than you think you do, maybe. And that can happen without changing a single thing.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
would
and
say
I
the
love that.
passion of what you want to do. Like for me, like if you've listened to us, like I'm a very visual person. So I
Mm-hmm.
love when you say like Life Lab of
Mm-hmm.
Medium Lady and it has like a window. And in a
Mm-hmm.
lab, you take what you want and you leave what didn't work, but you
Totally.
allow it to be seen and
Mm-hmm.
people are embracing it.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
empowers others by your Life Lab being visible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I did want to say, I don't feel like I've left the messy middle behind. I still have a lot of middle life ahead of me. I have aging parents. My kids are not teenagers yet. I still have a lot of my career ahead of me. So does my partner. My partner has the same aging parents. And I do still feel like there is quite a lot of the chapters in my own book that lie ahead. What I feel like is I have a scaffolding to build the bridge as that messy middle comes at me. And I one of my favorite sayings, and I use it at work all the time, but I'm starting to use it in non-work life as well, is like, I'm a real fan of building the bicycle while riding it, which means basically it's this like iterative testing and trying and tinkering approach to life. And again, it's medium effort. It's like I'm not going to get it perfect, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with that because it's going to get me a little bit more information than I had before I started.
I love that. So my
Mhm.
dad is an engineer
Mm-hmm.
and aging parent. He's
Mm-hmm.
88, but quite spry for 88. And he sold testing equipment for many, many years to like test vehicles to see how they worked on the road. And what he would always say to me, he said, if you're expecting this vehicle, whatever it is, to be perfect 100% of the time, it will continually fail the testing.
Yeah.
And he would always say 80%. And so, like, when there was recalls and things like that, he would be like, clearly they didn't meet the 80%. Like, that was always his thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
I love that because it's such a life wisdom of 80%. We don't have to
Mm-hmm.
do 100%. Like, we aren't meant to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's impossible. And when we set ourselves up for that, then we feel like we're low effort because we didn't achieve this stupid, impossible standard.
Right.
Where with medium
Right.
effort, we are constantly achieving goals because we set realistic goals for ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we're so much more motivated in life and
Hmm.
happier. That's when we get to be our whimsical self because we found joy in accomplishing our goals. So then we are allowing ourselves permission, although we should be anyway, to do the things that we enjoy.
Hmm. And accomplishing your goals is about evolving your life, not
Mm-hmm.
about moving from being a trash human to a super sparkly human. I
Yeah.
worry sometimes that our goal setting is about often reflecting what's bad, what's not working, what doesn't feel good, and setting goals so that we feel happy, we feel better, and we're not in the bad place anymore. And sometimes it's about level setting. The place where I'm in right now has things that are already supporting me. The person I am right now is someone who already has strengths. The things that exist in my life might actually be a function of my own choices and my own design. Something I've been sharing on social media lately is like, live the life you've built for yourself. You know, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women my age, or even a little bit older, are already, you're living with the children that you know, hopefully many of us are living with the children we wanted to have. You're in the midst of a career that you took steps to get towards. You
Mm-hmm.
live in a home that you moved your family into. These were all choices, not regrets. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so certainly every life has circumstances where you're like, oh, if it wasn't this, it would be better. That's okay. Like that's like a normal human experience. But
Right.
there is also, so much of our focus we spend on that. If it wasn't this, then life would be better. But there's also like life is already good because of some other things. And it's not about denying. I really have to sometimes I've had to come back to remind people this is medium effort and mindful fun are really not about wearing rose-colored glasses or toxic positivity. It's again about and you mentioned earlier, it's the word and is yes, I'm a mom of three boys. I work a busy 9 to 5. I have really vital friendships. I have a strong marriage with my partner. All of these things take up my time and energy. I'm super busy and I'm super tired. And you know, my amazing dog is here and he's so cute and he's snoring in the background. And I'm on this call with Helene and Christina, who are beautiful women, and they're giving me such gifts with their time and allowing me to share who I am with their audience. And I have a little bit of this coffee left, which is like my favorite Tim Hortons Double Double if there's any Canadians listening. And so it's a both and, right? It's like I'm tapping into that moment and I feel okay, even though
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go deal with some messy work stuff later today. And I'm gonna have to like figure out what I'm gonna get my parents for Christmas because I haven't figured that out. Like,
Yeah.
it's all and, yeah.
I
I think
love
I
that.
imagine like medium effort will be different for everyone because we're all unique.
Mm-hmm.
But when I hear you talk about it, at least for me, the word that keeps coming to the forefront of my mind is acceptance.
Yeah,
That medium effort comes from a place of you accepting where you're at right now. And when
that's
you
right.
do that, you can align with joy, sipping the yummy coffee, hearing the snores of your puppy next to you, thinking of the vibrant colors of the wrapping paper for your parents. When
Mm-hmm.
you get that, when you allow yourself to accept, you get to be present in your
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, friends, I think is one of the greatest gifts that
Mm.
Aaron has given us in this episode. Although there's probably been like literally a million gifts in this episode. But I want to, like, if you, friends, if you're listening, I would say pause and rewind that last like 2 minutes of what Aaron said, because that was powerful, absolutely powerful about accepting where you are now, appreciating the moments in your life now. Yes, we have some messy middle moments that are hard. We can honor those, but we don't have to focus on those. We can focus on the good, the puppy sleeping, where your kids are in life, being a parent, having a messy home.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, we're often when we're spending a lot of time in high effort, it's because we're looking to have a need met.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And sometimes that time out can help us identify what is the need and can I meet it without perfectionism and control.
Love that.
And that took me a little bit actually longer to figure out. And to also then, because I was tapped into mindful fun, have a better sense of how to get to that need being met.
Hmm.
If I'm feeling really overwhelmed by stuff and clutter in my home and I start to have big trash bag energy and I just want to, like get rid of everything, what's the need that's calling for that requirement for
Mm-hmm.
reduced visual clutter? And I might say to myself, like, oh, I need to feel like things are getting done. Because when I
Hmm.
see all of the clutter, it makes me feel like nothing's getting done. And so, okay, so I need to feel like things are getting done. Where does that come from? Well, that comes from a need to feel like things are balanced, to feel like I'm making progress. Do I need to feel like I'm making progress? Okay, what are the signs going on right now that allow me to acknowledge that I've made progress? Okay, so I've released episode 123 of the podcast. That's a sign of progress. Oh, okay. So like, what are the things that actually right now reflect to me that I'm making progress? And I can feel, and it's not that, and then I just live in my pigsty of a house, but it allows me to put the emotions
Hmm.
where they can be satisfied. And then I can
Hmm.
acknowledge or maybe move through the day with a bit of a mantra that, like, regardless of what's going on, I am making progress. And I acknowledge, everything that's come before me or before the moment that I'm in right now. And so then I tackle the clutter and the visual stuff detached from the need to have that emotional connection to the
Hmm.
clutter, because the clutter felt urgent before.
Yeah.
And now it feels like just something that has to get done and will get done. And I
Hmm.
trust that clutter is going to be taken care of because I don't need it as a sign that I'm making progress in my life. And it's actually also like cleaning up clutter. If what I need is to feel like I'm making progress, those two things are actually like they were connected, but now that I've unpacked it, they're actually quite disconnected. And you could see how if I take care of the clutter, am I actually going to satisfy my need to feel like I'm making progress? And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with needing to feel like I'm making progress. That's just who I've said again, I'm an ambitious and I've done too much self-reflection to know this is a need that's going to come up for me time and time again. To feel like I'm making progress is a part of who I am. That's not going to be resonant for every listener. But again, that took a bit of medium effort, right? And it also took a little bit of mindful fun for me to not take myself so seriously, to be a person who needs to see progress, and then to also be able to tap into the things that I do, like making a podcast, which is really super fun for me and has been an amazing personal development journey in and of itself. So, yeah, I think that we can get ourselves there from those things that are kind of like they feel like they're hanging over us, and when we can kind of like disconnect emotionally from the thing that's really bugging us and come to our lives with curiosity and compassion and a sense of like, hey, you know what, like, you're okay, like, you're safe, let's take
Yeah.
a look at this. Your question earlier was about like what would your family see that's different about you, and sometimes that makes me really emotional because I know the mother I was to my firstborn son, and I
Hmm.
know the mother I am to my lastborn son. And I know that there's a difference between the two. And I have a lot of compassion for the person who became a mother 11 years ago, who was living very high effort,
Hmm.
really kind of
Hmm.
white knuckling most aspects of my life, trying to maintain control over so many things.
100%.
And I think that when Beckett was born, Beckett's my youngest, he's 5 now. I think about the mom to him. So for example, this morning, really trying to get Beckett to pay attention to the steps that get us out the door to the house without losing my cool. Because, for me, I want to like try to be kind to my kids, especially in the ordinary routines of the day, so
Yeah.
that they don't feel like when they grow up, leaving the house is like a big thing. That's my decision as a parent. So I'm with Beckett. He's really not brushing his teeth. And I say to him, I'm going to give you a piggyback to the bathroom so you can brush your teeth. And he's plugged in. He's like, okay. hops on my back. I take him the 7 steps to the bathroom. I drop him off in the bathroom. I say, "Are you ready to brush your teeth?" He says, "Yep." And he goes for it. Now, like, does that work every day? No. Sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes I do yell. I'm not trying to suggest that, like, oh, I figured it out and I glide through life with ease. There are mornings when I yell. And again, this is not like how to not yell at your kids in the morning, but I think that my kids would notice the difference. And I know for a fact that when William was 5 years old and when he was not brushing his teeth, there is no way I would have had the presence of mind to hop him on my back and carry him to the bathroom to brush his teeth.
Mm.
So I don't want to say it's as dramatic as like he's getting a different mom. And maybe I'm also being too hard on myself back then. But I definitely think that my family has been able to, I don't know if they would notice, but I think they've definitely been able to benefit from the way that I have taken care of myself, the
Mm.
way that I have made really purposeful choices about what's important to me. I feel like my sons are really aware of my values. They'll say to me like, "Oh, mom, look, it's a book. You love reading. Oh, mom, look, or they'll notice like the sunrise and the sunset and they'll say, "Mom,
Mm.
look at the beautiful colors. Don't you love that?" And they're really plugged in. They know that I do gratitude every day on online, and sometimes they want to hop in and share what they're grateful for. And I think it's just about, again, it's that pie. It's bringing the fullness of yourself to your relationships
Yeah.
without feeling like you have to be perfect for them.
Hmm.
It's like you get to be human with them.
I
Mm.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So again, another gift. Wow. Get to be human with them. And what an incredible model that you're not setting up this expectation of perfection. And, similar to what Helene said about the wisdom her son gave of, you don't want to be a woman because you never sit still.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I think, and he's her first. And I think, we both would say we did different with our seconds than we did with our firsts and
Yeah.
learned wisdom from our firsts that led us to our seconds. And it sounds like, you passed it on to your second and your third, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we've sprinkled throughout this episode that we love giving gifts to our audience. And so these can be tools, strategies, ideas
Mm-hmm.
to consider as they're creating the It's Your Birthday life. So, what stands out to you as the greatest gifts you're hoping our audience gets from this episode, Erin?
Oh my gosh. Well, I just first want to acknowledge that this is also first a gift for me, to find myself in this place after coming from like a really painful spot. So, the first thing I want is if your listeners are finding themselves in that painful spot, I
Mhm.
want to also acknowledge that that can be like a really hard place to be in. And when you're hearing people like myself or Helene and Christina talk about, our own lives and our own ideas and the things that get us really, really lit up, there's for a lot of people a huge chasm between the two. And sometimes you can feel a little bit like that's nice for her, but it's not for me. So I guess the gift I would want to give anybody listening is to practice. Here's what I would recommend is I would say if you have one takeaway, the thing that has made the biggest difference in my life, and you're going to feel so skeptical about it, is the daily practice of gratitude. And the reason gratitude works is not because you just like list warm fuzzies. You just like make a list of warm fuzzies. There is neuroscience behind gratitude. And I'm going to get a little bit nerdy for a moment. I hope you don't mind. So, in our brains, we have what's called the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system is responsible for filtering stimuli that humans encounter through an entire day. And the reticular activating system is important for survival because it allows you to pay attention to what might kill you and what
Mhm.
might help you survive and thrive. Now, in this day and age, we're filtering about 11 million pieces of stimuli a day. And so a lot of those stimuli end up in the trash. But the trash is determined by the reticular activating system. Your consciousness can interact with your reticular activating system through something like a practice of gratitude. Because what you do is you teach your reticular activating system about the stimuli that you think are important. When
Mhm.
you say, right now, I'm grateful for technology because it's allowed me to hop on this Zoom call with Christina and Helene and meet two incredible, amazing women that 20, 25 years ago would have been impossible to fathom. That I can see their beautiful faces, they can see my face, that we can hear each other in real time, despite differences in time zones. Despite, none of us are like using a telephone. We didn't have to come up with a crazy three-way call. We didn't have to have millions of dollars to have an incredible recording studio. I'm so, so grateful for the advances in technology today that allow me to do that. And my brain says, okay, what I'm hearing there is technology, connection, women, friendship. Okay, those things are important to Erin. We're going to pay attention to things like connection, technology, friendship, meeting other women, and we're going to look for more of those things in the future. And we need that reticular activating system to be as fine-tuned to us as possible, because when you're struggling or you're white knuckling or you're in the messy middle, your reticular activating system is actually often looking for, oh, watch out for that person might be mad at you. Oh, pay attention to this so this person doesn't get disappointed. Oh, make sure that you do this so everything looks right. And your reticular activating system is looking for reasons for you to stir it up in those ways. And again, it's not that with the practice of
Friends, we hope you found this as special as we did. Erin, thank you so much. I'm like smiling so big. Thank you so much for gifting us your time, your wisdom, and especially your heart.
Aw.
If you love this as much as we did, we would love for you to share this episode. It would mean so much to us if you left us a positive review wherever you listen. And as Erin invited you, that you can drop a DM to her to let her know where you found her, we would love for you to hang out with us on social. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Until next Thursday, community, happy birthday. So before we wrap up, Erin, can you please tell our community, where do they find you? Where are you at? How do they plug into more Medium Lady?
Yeah, so I am primarily on Instagram. You can find me at medium.lady. You need the dot in between medium and lady to find me there. And you can hop into my DMs, tell me that you found me through It's Your Birthday podcast. The best way is to just watch my stories. I'm in stories every day. I share gratitude every day in stories. And then I will have a website launching in 2025. I don't know if that'll be ready by the time this goes live, but that I still, after 5 years, don't have a website. So I'm excited to kick that off in 2025. That's a big goal of mine. And then you can find the podcast wherever you are listening to this podcast. You can search Medium Lady Talks, and you can also search, if you want more book content, you can search Medium Lady Reads.
Love it.
Friends, we hope you found this as special as we did. Erin, thank you so much. I'm like smiling so big. Thank you so much for gifting us your time, your wisdom, and especially your heart.
Aw.
If you love this as much as we did, we would love for you to share this episode. It would mean so much to us if you left us a positive review wherever you listen. And as Erin invited you, that you can drop a DM to her to let her know where you found her, we would love for you to hang out with us on social. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Until next Thursday, community, happy birthday.